This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy game day, everybody, and happy Thursday. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Huss and Reem with you for the next couple hours. Counting down to Jets Bruins tonight. The lone visit of the original 6 Bruins tonight at Canada Life Center. Bruins have been one of the, I would suggest, at least from my perspective, one of the more surprising teams in the National Hockey League this year. Got off to a nice start under their new head coach, Marco Sturm, who famously was part of the package that the Bruins got in the Joe Thornton trade. And they're hanging around in a playoff spot right now. 5 games above 500, 18, 13, and 0. I believe they're the only team without an overtime or shootout loss this year. Good for 36 points, tied with Tampa, 1 point out of the division lead held by the Detroit Red Wings after their 4-3 win in Calgary last night. We'll find out more about the visitors with Fluto Shinzawa from The Athletic coming up the bottom of the hour. We'll also have Brandon Rewucki jump on the program. We'll check in with the Manitoba Moose with Daniel Fink. Lots going on around Mooseville these days with lots of games coming up and a very busy weekend planned down at Canada Life Center, in addition to the Jets action on tap. And our pal Pat Gregoire from Coolbet will jump on a little bit later on today. We'll get ready for the Thursday Nighter and tomorrow's edition of WST Winners. We will hear from Coach Scott O'Neill, as well as Gustav Nyquist, who looks like he'll be back in the lineup tonight. And we didn't get to Cole Perfetti yesterday. Cole Perfetti obviously has been struggling so far since returning from the high ankle sprain. He spoke about those struggles, trying to get back to be playing with confidence, and both individually and with the team. So we'll get to that a little later on. But should be a good one today. As Phyllis just said, just bring in the cheer in the chat. It's game day. And it's one day closer to getting Connor Hellebuyck back. If you missed yesterday's program, the big news coming out of, Tuesday's show was Darren Dreger's report on insider trading on TSN that Connor Hellebuyck was wanting to play this week. Now, obviously, they pumped the brakes on that, but it was quoted by Dregs a more matter of days as opposed to weeks for Hellebuyck's return. And then we've seen him out on the ice the last couple of days. So definitely positive developments on the Hellebuyck situation. But tonight, it's Eric Comrie going up against Korpisalo. It'll be a nice little break for Winnipeg to get the backup. Jeremy Swayman has had a great season so far this year and really looks to have sort of put him in the conversation to be that third goalie with Hellebuyck and likely Jake Ottinger on the U.S. Olympic team. Welcome to everybody in chat with us live on YouTube. Great to have you with us live, and a big shout out to all you podcast listeners jumping on with us and making WST a part of your day. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, a huge thanks to the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet. Good times on the poker tournament last night. Congratulations to everyone that qualified for the Costa Rica final. And I'm happy to report that the Hustler Bounty was not cashed last night. Made it to the Final Four. So the 5th place finisher will hook him up for a ticket because I'm already in. Great night last night, though. 2 more chances to qualify for the Costa Rica Poker Final. Monday, December 27th, and Wednesday, January the 7th. December 22, Jan 7. And then the final, for which everyone that got a ticket last night qualified, is Monday, January 12th. More information on our socials. Do want to thank Princess Auto, Clean Line, Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba Battery, Uptown Alley, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center and Canadian Club, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports. And of course, we'll get to a why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And your fan feedback for fansfirst.ca. Let's get her going. Michael Remis, what's going on?
Feeling good, ready for a big day, Thursday Night Football, but also Winnipeg Jets back in action, looking to build on a nice performance against Dallas. They've been home, they've had practice, and as you mentioned, every day, just another day closer to Connor Hellebuyck coming back in. We do have our daily Connor Hellebuyck update now. Scott Arniel is going to be asked every day, and just taking a look at the standings, Winnipeg Jets 29 points. They are 3 back of the Edmonton Oilers, who occupy the second wild card spot at 32 points. Didn't think Chicago would be there, Huss, here on December 11th, occupying wild card spot number 1. They got the win last night. So, hey, they got to make some wins. Ken Wiebe wrote in the Free Press, Ken Wiebe said must-win territory this homestand. It's going to be a tough one on Saturday against Washington. It would be nice to get 2, and I think the Jets are getting a break. Jonas Korpisalo in net for Boston, and I looked at his numbers compared to Jeremy Swayman, the starter. It's really, really night and day. So big opportunity for maybe some guys who haven't been getting on the scoring sheet. Gus Nyquist coming in, he's 0 goals. Could he get one past? And just looking at the difference, Korpisalo GAA 3.38, Swayman 2.67. Save percentage, Swayman 913, Korpisalo 888. So a good opportunity here for the Jets. I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Listen, this is one they got to have. And Boston's a good team. I mean, it's not like, oh, you should beat Boston. I mean, the Jets got to find a ways to win some games. They played much better against Dallas, but didn't get a result to start this homestand. I think the Jets will play with a real sense of urgency. I'm very interested to see what Gus Nyquist looks like after, sitting out the better part of the last week or so in the press box. And whether he can, look a little different than he had earlier this year and maybe grab a bounce or a break because there wasn't a lot going for him earlier on this year. By the way, just looking in chat, Comet asking what was up, how did the poker go last night? It went great. Congratulations. I see Eagle Eyes in there. Eagle Eyes, myself, Machine Blank, and Beelzebubba were the top 4. Tournament ended at the top 4 because it was for the 4 tickets to the final. Although we're going to get a bonus in for the guys that did win. But PvP Jets, who finished 5th, we're going to hook you up with the ticket because, as I say, I'm already going. So we'll get 4 qualifiers outside of me for the tournament for last night. But well done, Eagle Eyes, Machine Blank, Beelzebubba. A great day. And yes, my bounty lives to see another day. Nobody got it last night. Was a lot of fun. Remo, obviously we wait for Connor Hellebuyck to get back in the net at some point in the near future. I would say this is a huge game for Eric Comrie tonight. And listen, I don't think that game on Monday was on air, or Tuesday, I should say, was on Eric Comrie at all. Really more the special teams. I mean, a couple of those goals, absolutely no chance. But this is a time where, and much like he did last week when the team was up against it and frankly didn't play particularly well against Buffalo at home or Montreal on the road, but Eric Comrie came up with big performances. And we've seen during this stretch where he's played quite a bit, where it hasn't gone his way, if he's gotten the hook, he's bounced back with really strong performances. Tonight, against a team like Boston that's played the way that they have so far this year, holding it down for these next couple games, at least until Hellebuyck comes back. We'll wait to see whether DiVincentis actually gets into any game action. Really important. And you can see, I mean, you can talk about the record and the save percentage and the goals against, which are all favoring Comrie, but not by a lot. That goal save above expected number is significant. Eric Comrie at a plus 4.9. Korpisalo minus 3.4. So not only from the goaltending side, but also for a team that desperately needs to get some good vibes going for so many players that are in long offensive scoring streaks. Getting to Korpisalo would be huge for the Jets. And I think if they can make that happen and win this game tonight, could be something that, could really help them in the second half of this homestand against the Caps on Saturday and Ottawa Monday night.
Yeah, Eric Comrie, he's had some really strong games, especially last week. Think about that win against Buffalo, how good he was, how well he played in Montreal. If you get some solid goaltending from Eric Comrie, maybe you have a couple guys who haven't scored in a while or off to a slow start, you get that secondary scoring. The Jets can put themselves into a really nice spot to win here against Boston team that's really surprised this season. So you look at the Jets, December not so great at 1-3-1, and you're looking at bringing down the special teams matchup as Boston. We just saw the Dallas power play. That was so good. How about the Boston power play? 24.4%, sixth in the NHL. But again, Eric Comrie, you always rely on your goalie. Be nice to have him come up with a big one, but also the team support him, get some goals and have a penalty kill that doesn't allow a goal, because it's been a couple games in a row now allowing power play goals. And Boston, they got some scorers there as well, maybe not on the level of Dallas, but their power play, the numbers don't lie in terms of how good it's been.
Yeah, listen, special teams, especially right now when you're not doing a lot of 5-on-5, such a big part of the game. And that really probably was the disappointing part of Tuesday, in that, at 5-on-5, the Jets were good. It was the special teams. Here's the matchup. Connor, with some nice graphics here. We know what the records are right now. Boston, 5 games above 500, scoring a little bit more than the Jets each game and giving up a little bit more. The Jets, for the first time pretty much all season, have now dropped into the red with the goal differential. They are -1, and that's why you'll see a 303 goals against per game as opposed to 3 goals for per game. And Boston just on the other side of that ledger as well. But as Remis just mentioned, a very good power play. Not quite in Dallas's league, but pretty darn good at 24-4. Jets running at 20. And a little bit of an advantage on the PK as well at 82.5, and the Jets at 80% right now. What's that stat where you add up your PK and your power play for a total?
Oh.
And you want to be above 100%. The Jets are basically right there, 100.2. You look at Boston, they're just about at, the 106.7 or 106.9. So the special teams has been a big part of Boston's success so far this year on both sides. And, we'll get into this with Fluto when he joins us. But a bit of a homecoming for Morgan Geekie, the pride of Strathclair, Manitoba. And, we talk about how desperate teams are for centers. They went and paid all that money for Elias Lindholm, who's got 4 goals. Morgan Geekie's season, you want to talk about a breakout. 22 goals in 31 games. He's a point-a-game player right now, 22-10 for 32 and 31 games played, and has been – now his shooting percentage is insane. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to keep that up for the entire season, but, man, he has been good right now. And, the projected numbers, he's on 50-goal pace right now, well in excess of 50-goal pace. And I've actually seen for the first time a few Team Canada rosters projected for the Olympics that have Morgan Geekie in that top 15 forward group.
Yeah, what an incredible story. Has an undrafted player signed a tryout contract with Carolina, which led to a contract claimed by Seattle in the expansion draft, and couldn't work out a contract with him, and he ended up signing with
let him go.
Boston. Yeah, pretty crazy. Played hockey, in Manitoba growing up, as you mentioned. So pretty awesome for him. 22 goals, 10 assists. The top scorer right now on the Bruins, on a team that's outperforming their expectations. So
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll see a lot of geeky jerseys. I mean, every time you see the Bruins in Winnipeg, any original 6 team, a lot of visiting jerseys, but I imagine a lot of geekies out there tonight.
No doubt. I mean, I was just going to say, with all these teams desperately looking for a second line center, and then, Morgan Geekie, sort of the odd man out a couple years ago, signs his deal with Boston, goes 17 goals, 39 points in his first game was night. Breakout season last year, scoring 33. He had never had more than 17 before that in a season, 57 points, by far a career high. Had never had over 40. And now seemingly building on that to another level this year with 22 and 32 through 31 games. So, don't be surprised if we see a few geekies there as well. Of course, David Pastrnak, the alpha on that team. He's missed 5 games, tied for the scoring lead in points with 32. And then Pavel Zacha, Elias Lindholm, who's, I guess been productive, 18 points in 21 games, only 4 goals. But that's better than he was last year. That was a real struggle for him in his first year in Boston. 17 goals and just 47 points for a guy that was thought to come in and be their number one guy in the middle. But listen, we'll get to Boston in a minute. Let's get to the Winnipeg Jets and hear what Scott Arniel had to say. And while there is a game tonight, I think the first question on everyone's mind is, how's Helly? Here's an update on Connor Hellebuyck from this morning.
Scott, I guess we'll begin with the daily interrogation about Connor Hellebuyck. I know yesterday your thought was, well, how does he come out of ramping up the workload?
You told Fluto 130?
At least from the eye test that the answer would be pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
yeah, just
is there anything
like
new
I said to
you
you yesterday, workload and conditioning.
Yeah.
So
that, but he's still in that mode, though. Nothing's
still in
changed from
mode,
that.
Yeah. Still in that mode.
Thing that Arnie said is, you got to wait and see how he feels after being out on the ice and taking shots. From the sound of that, it sounds very positive. And as I say, I'm always pushing for this a little earlier. The more Hellebuyck, the better. In our conversation with Ken yesterday, we thought that, likely at some point on that next road trip, but getting in a game or two potentially before the Christmas break. I'm not ruling him out at any point on this homestand. I doubt it would be Saturday, but maybe Monday against the Sens. If not, I certainly hope that he's in the net for our watch party, our holiday watch party at Boston Pizza Keniston next Wednesday. Mark that down, 7 o'clock, Jets Blues. Hopefully you can all join us. Big game tonight, though. Hellebuyck won't be in the net. It's Eric Comrie. We mentioned the goaltending matchup. Here's Scott Arniel on tonight's visitors, the Boston Bruins.
Obviously, they made the coaching change. Real complete team. Play a real good 200-foot game right now. They're playing a real good 200-foot game. They're really rolling their 4 lines, getting good goaltending, really getting good goaltending. And, they have their sort of craziness in the East, all those teams that are clumped together. And, very desperate team that's, has to try and really stay in that hunt for, spots. So, they just won. One in beat a Devils team, beat St. Louis twice, and so a good hockey team. We have to make sure we're prepared tonight.
Jets of the Heritage unis as well. It'll be a good jersey matchup tonight. I've always liked the old school Boston Bruins unis, and obviously the Jets in those Heritage unis are one of the top kits in the entire National Hockey League. One guy that will actually get a chance to wear that jersey as opposed to a suit tonight is Gustav Nyquist, who's still looking for his first goal as a Winnipeg Jet. He's back in tonight. Arniel talked about that decision earlier.
It was just time to get him back in. It really is. It just, he's been out for a few, and he's a guy we brought in for offense. We brought him in to obviously his skill set, so let him go tonight.
In a situation like that, Scott, maybe a younger player might almost try and do too much when he gets back in, but do you think as a veteran, he'll manage that maybe better than a younger player might and not?
Yeah, Gus has got a lot of experience at this level and in different scenarios. I think that, I know he's upset that he wasn't playing, but at the end of the day, go in and use his skill set as every chance he gets, and that's what we need. And hopefully that that'll help us get some more depth throughout the lines.
All right, and so Gustav Nyquist he's been cold. Cole Perfetti, got his 5th point of the year in 15 games, still nowhere near where he had hoped to be at this point. And he's been out on the ice a lot this week, staying after practice. Did some extra work today. Here's what Arnie had to say when he was asked about Cole staying on late for extra work.
Stay on the range longer, putt more, right, Kenny? Right? Chip more. I think it really is. He wants to continue to keep, handling pucks, making plays, doing stuff like that. Just like I said earlier, prior to this week, we haven't had a whole lot of practice time, a whole lot of chance to be out and doing those things. So he's taking advantage of it, which is good to see.
And it looks like he might go back to that top power play unit, which could be, I guess, good for him if everybody can get going there.
Well, try to find a way to spark him. So, he's not alone in that. The other guys need to go, but if we can put him in there, he's had success in there before. So see how that works itself. Hopefully it works itself positively tonight.
Hey, folks, with the holidays here, many of you are looking to gather with friends and family, people coming in from out of town. Maybe you're getting together for something fun with people from the office. Why don't you head down to Uptown Alley in 1301 St. Matthews and take advantage of all the amazing options for fun that Todd, Nate, and the gang have waiting for you down at Uptown Alley. 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, laser tag, an incredible arcade. Now, those fun carnival games where you can win prizes, win tickets to exchange for great prizes. And what a lot of people don't know is the incredible food and beverage options waiting for you at Uptown Alley. Now, listen, if you want to plan a party or an event, just give them a call at 488-0000. For group and corporate events, just pick your activities, pick your meal and what you want to eat, any add-ons, and their events team will help together put to a schedule and take care of everything else. They're also the best place if you are planning birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults. They've got the Bowl and Play special, the daily deal after 9 p.m. every day. And, of course, they've also got gift cards, which the gift of fun is always perfect for the stocking or under the tree. So while you get ready to cross off everything on that Christmas list, not only pop down to take advantage of the good times at Uptown Alley, but give the gift of good times with Uptown Alley gift cards this Christmas. They're waiting for you at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue and online at uptownalley.ca. If you're moving into 2026, our friends at Rolly's Transfer would love to help you take as much of the stress out of the moving experience as possible. We all know what that can be like. Rolly's, family owned and operated, and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Check them out online at rollies.com, and in the top right corner, click on Request an Estimate. Put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to go. They'll turn it around with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that Rolly's Transfer has been famous for. Now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on the most trusted name in the game, Rolly's Transfer. Find out more, request an estimate today over at rollies.com. If you do need your grill worked on, Dr. Terry and the great people at St. Patel Dental Center have been getting rave reviews from WSTers that have popped in there. Now, St. Patel Dental Center has been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans, and now have a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building, serving clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services from cleanings and checkups all the way to things like dental implants. They can do it all. Find out more online, make an appointment, pop in and see Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Patel Dental Center online at stpateldental.ca, and make sure to tell them that you're ready for the marble race on Friday afternoon and the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And just before we head down to Dallas, as we mentioned, there's lots of planning for the holidays coming up over the next little bit. I'm certain that many of you will be popping into your local Manitoba liquor marts. When you do, check out the Canadian Club display. We're going to get to the Bomber schedule and look ahead to next season. There still is a few limited quantities of those Blue Bomber. It's limited edition label bottles, which is a great gift for a Blue Bomber fan or just for entertaining in and around the holidays. And while you're talking Canadian Club at the holidays, make sure to keep your eyes out for the limited edition Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale. Right now, in stores and on shelves for the holidays, the great taste of Canada's iconic Canadian whiskey, along with cranberry and ginger ale, pre-mixed cocktails in cans. You can pick it up in 4-packs or 473 milliliter cans at your local Manitoba liquor marts or beer vendors, and then simply crack it, pour over ice, and enjoy. Happy holidays from Canadian Club. And reminder to all of you to do it safely and to never drink and drive. All right, let's learn more about the Boston Bruins, who are in town tonight at Canada Life Center for the 7 o'clock puck drop against the Winnipeg Jets. And who better to welcome in than the Athletics' Fluto Shinzawa. Fluto, pleasure having you on the program. How are you?
A delight to be here. There you go.
Interesting game tonight. The Bruins have been, I think one of the I don't want to say a huge surprise. We knew they had some talent, but they've been in a playoff spot the entire time. And obviously the Jets on the other side, maybe surprising that they are where they are. Give us a little bit of a Cole's notes on the season so far for Boston that sees them just 1 point out of the division lead coming into the peg tonight.
Well, it really reflects well on the coach. He said it even before the first game. Okay, this is not in terms of comparing the Bruins to other teams in the East. They don't compare when it comes to skill. So that was your own coach saying that about his own team. But he said once the players realize, understand, comprehend the system that he wants to play, they have personnel to make it hard on guys. And it's been a work in progress at the beginning in terms of trying to comprehend Marco's D-zone system. But now that we're 30-plus games into it, you can see like what they do when they are successful and what they fail to do when they're not successful. So it's been a real credit to Marco, what he's sold to his players, and how he's identified some of these players that perhaps you wouldn't think are high-profile players and really gotten the most and expressed to their thresholds their performance. And then in line with that, you have to look at what management did and identifying some players that really fit what Marco wants to do. Guys like Asimont, Janot, Corrali, and then players that were here last year, Kastelik. These are Zadorov, and they've all raised their games to the level where they are a competitive team, and they're a hard team to play. So yes, it's been credit to the coach, credit to the GM.
Well, speaking of raising their game, we always keep an eye on the Manitoba players in and around the National Hockey League, and it was really interesting to see Seattle punt on Morgan Geekie, and he had to wait a little while to get a contract. He came into Boston. First year was, really good. For the first time in his career, he hit double digits in goals. Well, he nearly doubled that last year to a breakout 33, and he's got 22 in 31 games. Fluto, if you can, take us through the last 2 years and 30 games as a Bruin for Morgan Geekie and how he has turned into one of the most important players in black and gold.
Well, Andrew, if you look at it, it's just a tremendous arc and trajectory. It's like the hockey stick level rise for Morgan in terms of, yes, like what you look at it, like why did Seattle ever say, yeah, we don't like you, we don't want you, go hit the road? And that's what they did when they didn't tender him a deal when he was restricted. So it's just unbelievable that that he has gotten to this level from that. And then B, again, credit to Don Sweeney and the pro scouting staff here in Boston. Like first to identify Morgan as, okay, we want to give you a 2-year, $4 million deal, which is unbelievable. And then re-sign him to 6 years, 33.75. And even that looks like a bargain right now, because you look at what Morgan has done, it's just, okay, some of it, you look at last year, it's like, okay, he's a career high in shooting percentage. Well, that might come down. Maybe that's an outlier. Well, no, that has not been the case. And then you think, okay, well, he's been tied to the hip with David Pastrnak. Maybe that's it. Like David's an incredible finisher, but he's just as good of a playmaker. Maybe that's it. Well, David missed a lot of time this year, and Morgan was just as good. So it's been absolutely smashing to see what Morgan has become. And it's so much of it is confidence, right? That this is a player that knows, okay, yes, maybe David helped me, and maybe this new situation woke me up in terms of getting to where I need to be. But this is all on him. Like, he knows how to get open. This is a smart player. He has a terrific shot, which he's worked on. He's very aligned with his gear, with his stick, the Bauer that he's using right now, in terms of his curve, his flex, how he likes it to feel in his hands. So, and then you look at the whole body of work of 2025. Nobody in the league has more goals than Morgan, which is incredible. And every night he's trying to keep pace with McKinnon in terms of goal scoring. So it's no wonder why, like, this guy who was not even on the Four Nations bubble is still there in that Olympic conversation for Team Canada. Again, it's all on him.
Well, I mean, listen, if you score every night, people are going to take notice and pay attention. And that's what's happened. You know, I am interested in how he's been utilized by Marco Sturm, in that, you know, we've talked plenty. I mean, it seems like there's 27 or 28 teams that are looking for a second line center. He's a guy that comes in at center, and we have seen him playing on the wing at times as well. I mean, you know, is there a preferred spot for him, or are they finding a spot for him on that top line? Just because when he plays with good players and gets out there a lot, he's incredibly productive.
He's a wing here in Boston. Last year is primarily left wing. He had a very good chemistry at the end with Elias Lindholm in the middle, David Pastrnak on the right. So that was the line that they thought would be their number one line coming into this season. And now Morgan's been on the right side this last handful of games on their first line, in David's spot, actually, on the right, with Lindholm in the middle and Alex Steeves on the left. So wherever you put him, it's been very helpful for the coach to say, okay, we can play him left wing, we can play him right wing. He can set up on the elbow on that first power play on the left for the one-timer, or he can be on the strong side of the power play too, because his shot is so good. So it's been the one thing that he doesn't do, and which I'm sure has come up in that Olympic conversation with management, is that he doesn't kill penalties. Now, could he? Maybe. Like, he's smart enough to do so. His skating, perhaps, and he's admitted, like, he's not the fastest guy out there, but he gets to his spots. He arrives. And he's physical too. So that's the one thing that he has not submitted in his portfolio with the Bruins, in terms of being a PK guy, defensive guy. But everything else, boy, he's been tipping pucks. He's been the shot is tremendous. He's developed a one-timer. So all these parts of his offensive game have really been expressed to a degree that perhaps he wouldn't have even believed.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated in teams like the Bruins and just how they change year over year. I mean, this was a competitive team for so long. They took a bit of a step back, obviously trading Brad Marchand, who had been sort of the franchise for the last number of years. But they made a massive investment in David Pastrnak, who, of course, is tied with Morgan Geekie at the top of the scoring leaders for the Bruins. He returned, missed a few games, came right back in, 3 assists against the Blues on Tuesday night. How is Pasternak's role within the team different now, with Brad Marchand being a Florida Panther?
Well, in terms of presence, in terms of room, in terms of leadership, like, this could be the next captain. They've used 3 alternates this year: him, Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm. He was the only one. He was an A before last year. He was the only one wearing an A after they traded Brad. So that tells you what they think of him. Like, you wouldn't think, like, here's this guy that just comes into the rink. He's loving life. He's got all these crazy outfits, and he's always smiling. He loves being at the rink. So you wouldn't think, like, is this guy that kind of person, that kind of presence? But I still remember one thing that Jim Montgomery said was that players gravitate toward him. It doesn't matter, you're a top line guy, you're a healthy scratch, you're a young guy, you're an old guy. Everybody likes this guy, right? And that says something, and that is important. That has value in a room, especially when you consider what the Bruins are going through. Like last year, they sucked. They're the 5th worst team in the league. And then to go through what I think a lot of people would have still considered right in the thick of a rebuild this year, because it's not like you brought in a whole bunch of hitters in terms of free agency during the offseason. And it's not like you promoted a whole bunch of high-end young guys from the American League. So you think of the role that David has among all this to produce, which he has to. If he doesn't produce, then they're in trouble. But to be that kind of presence in the room, I think it's been very important. And again, this could be the next captain.
Did Sturm speak at all to the reason for not selecting a captain at the beginning of the season? Is there a time frame that he's looking for, or is this going to be this year there's no captain and next year someone will likely get a C?
Yeah, no time frame. I think part of it was, and you understand, right? This is a rookie coach, doesn't know anybody in terms of the players, so he wants to get a feel for it. I think, who knows if it'll be this year, next year, whenever. Like it's down to 2. It's going to be either David or it's going to be Charlie. Completely different personalities. It kind of depends which way they want to go when it comes to that. But like, is it high? Is it front burner priority right now? No. Like it's not really something that I think is something that Marco or management is really thinking about. Like they just want to keep this going and keep building and keep growing and get into the playoffs. So could it happen sometime this year? Yeah, maybe. But I just don't think it's high atop their list of things that they want to check.
It's funny you mentioned those 2 kind of finalists, if you will, to be the next captain of the Bruins. That much more impressive as to how the Bruins have held on to their spot. They won 3 in a row because they've been without both of those guys at times recently. You mentioned Pasta came back. Fill people in on what Charlie McAvoy's been going through over the past 3 or 4 weeks, because that was a scary, ugly incident. And, he potentially could be back in the lineup tonight, which would, of course, be a huge boost for Boston. But it has not been an easy road for their all-star defender.
He's been going through hell to eat a puck like that. It was middle of November in Montreal, Noah Dobson. That guy's got a good shot, and he takes it, boom, right left side of the face, teeth flying everywhere, blood everywhere. Like I remember being there, and if for anybody who's been in the Bell Center, the visiting team has their room on one side of the rink, and Montreal's on the other. And right away, they take him to the Montreal side, which, they want to get the docks right on him. So you knew, like, oh boy, this, and the force of that shot, he gets knocked right on his back. So, I lost a whole bunch of teeth, broken, he called it a linear fracture of the jaw. So surgery in the days after. No solid food for 6 weeks after the surgery, loses almost 20 pounds in the first 10 days following. So, which is just remarkable to think about, like, how many calories these guys are bringing on board, how hard they're training. And then for all that to come to a full stop, it's like, okay, wow, like that's how much your body is just wrecked after an injury of that degree. So, full shield. Who knows how long he'll have to keep that, at least until that 6-week mark, perhaps even more. But this was maybe 3 days ago. I asked him. He said he had gained back about half that weight, so whatever that is, 8-9 pounds. I don't know. So he's still getting there. But he from the start, he made it sound like it didn't necessarily have to be till that 6-week point that he could come back and play. So yes, could be tonight, and clearly, like not 100% Charlie, but 95% Charlie is still a very good player. And they were obviously the team or the player, considering what his injury history too. Remember, like his season came to an end last year because of a very serious shoulder injury and infection, like he's not going to mess around. Team's not going to mess around. So they know, like, all right, he can still perform at that level, even though it's not fully healed. But yeah, again, goes back to the coach and the system and the execution from the players. Like they've been able to keep on going without Charlie, without David. It's been quite impressive.
Fluto Shinzawa is with The Athletic covering the Boston Bruins here with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk, getting ready for a puck drop tonight between Winnipeg and Boston. One other player I'm interested to see tonight, and we did see quite a bit of him during his time with the Avalanche after being traded from Buffalo, is Casey Mittelstadt. This is a guy who was an 8th overall pick, never really hit the offensive heights I think they expected for him in Buffalo, went to Colorado, now in Boston. What have you seen so far from Mittelstadt, and what's his role as he tries to kind of establish himself as a productive regular for Marco Sturm?
Yeah, Casey, natural center, but he's been playing left wing, which has been a transition for him. We all know Casey's game. Like I think he's the second most skilled with the puck in terms of making plays after David on this team. This things he sees, the way he's able to hold the puck, and look for teammates, wait, and then guys open, boom, sauce it over on the backhand. It's like he can make plays. This is a high-end player when it comes to the skills. So what do you think of that? Well, this is a center, but he has some deficiencies in his game defensively. And is it going to be productive for him to be a center? No, Marco Sturm thought. Like he would rather have Pavel Zacha, not as dynamic, not as creative with the puck as Casey, but far more dependable defensively as a center. So that's the compromise. That's the decision that Marco made in terms of putting Pavel in the middle on the second line and moving Casey over to the wing, and it's been better. He's been scoring goals too, which is not necessarily the strength of his game, but he's been good about getting to his spots and shooting and scoring. His game is making plays, but I think that line with him, Zach, and Arvidsson, they've gained trust too in Marco of being better defensively. So it's been an interesting step for Casey, because there were times, even last year after he arrived from Colorado, and even at the beginning of this year, I think Bruins were wondering, well, are they ever going to get the value of this player? Because he's north of $5 million annually, and he's on the books for one more year, or maybe it's 2 more years after this. So, like, I think there's some degree of, well, what is this guy? Is he going to be a productive top 6 player? I think he might fit that. Like, there's still, I think there's more to his game, but at least he's holding his ground, which you couldn't say about Casey for some stretches of his career here in Boston.
Fluto, it looks like the Jets are going to see Korpisalo tonight. It looks like Jeremy Swayman's had a big bounce-back season. He's sort of put himself right into the conversation to be part of the Olympic team. What's Korpisalo's season been like outside of the numbers, and how big of a drop-off is it from number 1 to number 2 when Boston throws out their backup?
It's significant. Jeremy's been very good. I think everything was aligned for him last year to have a down year. Now, was it going to be as down as it turned out to be? No, I don't think anybody expected that. But yes, he's recovered. He had an important role and an important performance for the Americans at the World Championship. Say, hey, yeah, it's World Championship, but that's still a gold medal. That's still an international tournament. Mm-hmm. That's a medal that the Americans hadn't won since the 1930s. So to be part of that, I think that did a huge degree to Jeremy's confidence. And you look at his play, absolutely. I think he can guarantee himself not only a spot on the American team, but maybe he's challenging for playing time, which he didn't get at the Four Nations behind Hellebuck and Ottinger. So who knows how Connor is feeling after that procedure? But Jeremy, yes, he's had a very, very good season to this point, coming back. And Jonas, he is who he is. He's kind of your average number 2 goalie. A little bit better this year, but still, you look at the performance, like he is who he is, right? And yes, the delta between the two is significant.
Well, this is one of these something's got to give matchups, because no one on the Jets has been able to score outside of the top line, and obviously the numbers haven't been great for Korpisalo. So he's either going to get a big boost from going up against a lineup with so many snake bit players, or maybe there's a couple guys that can get off the schneid. Either way, really looking forward to seeing this Bruins team, which has been, as they said, a pleasant surprise right now, right there in the mix, just 1 point out of the division. Just before we go, Fluto, has this start changed goals or expectations for the clubs this year in year one of Marco Sturm, or do they always sort of come out? I mean, you mentioned they might not have the skill, but were the expectations there that this team would compete and potentially be a playoff team after missing?
Management said from day one, Don Sweeney said he expects this to be a playoff team. Not number 1 seed in the East probably, but and he made it a point several times to note that this was going to be a team that was going to be hard to play against. I think the phrase was, "We're going to be hard out." And they have been. Like, nobody wants to play against Tanner Jeannot, Mark Castley, like it's a headache. Nikita Zadorov has turned things around. But now, if you really get them to speak the truth, I don't know that they would be saying that we're right in the thick of it as they are right now. So I think, of course, like he's a smart guy, Don. So I'm sure he mapped out different scenarios where they were not going to make it, and maybe they would even know by now. And of course, you have Plan A, B, C, D, go down the line of what would happen if that were not to be the case. Like, I'm sure if they put Zacha on the market, like that's a price that a lot of teams would like. If they set, for example, like if you look at the Charlie Coyle trade, a high-end prospect, another player, because Pavel has term and he's younger than Charlie and he's more offensively there. So and he plays defense, he kills penalties, he's power play. Like he's a true pro, Pav. So that's like that, especially considering how many teams are looking for a top 2 center. Like that's a price. They could do very well for that. Victor Arvidsson is in the last year of his deal. That's maybe a mid-round pick. Andrew Peak, tough right shot D. He's also going to be unrestricted. Like all these players that you could say, okay, had it gone that route, like they could have advanced that rebuild phase and restocked for futures even more. But if you're the team, if you're the players, if you're the coach, like you don't want that at this point. Like this is going to be at this rate. If they keep on playing at this pace, like you're right there in terms of top 8 in the East. So maybe you're adding at the deadline. Now I don't think they would. They certainly are not in the position to be trading big time futures to do that. But they've put themselves in a good position so far with this 30 plus games. And maybe it's better than everybody internally expected. But that's where they are. And I'm sure they're satisfied with where they are.
Well, it should be a good one tonight. You'll have a hungry home team looking to get back in the win column, and Boston looking to go make it 4 in a row and stay in a pretty nice spot in that Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Fluto, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate your time and enjoyed the chat. Have a great one and enjoy the game tonight.
Very good. My pleasure, Andrew.
Thank you. There's Fluto Shinzawa. You can read all of his work along with all the other experts over at theathletic.com covering the Boston Bruins. We will get back to the Jets coming up in a few minutes with our pal Brandon Rewucki from Skates and Plates. But let's get back to Coach Scott Arniel. We heard him talk about Cole Perfetti staying on for a little bit of extra work. I mean, the big conversation coming out of Tuesday was as disappointing as the result in the final score was. it seemed like a performance that the Winnipeg Jets could be much more proud of than recently. They were 5-on-5 play was better. And it seemed like they were moving in the right direction. Here's Scott Arniel talking about building on that performance and the way they played against the Stars.
Yeah, certainly really liked what we did against Dallas. That was good. I didn't like what we did in the first period against Edmonton, obviously, and can't chase games. I know we got down against Dallas. Those are the type of things that, if we can continue with our work ethic, our compete, our attention to not giving up the rush opportunities against, and being better in front of our goaltenders, that'll help us play in the other end a lot more. And then the things that start to grow from it, our rush game gets better, our forecheck game gets better, and then, like I mentioned yesterday, our zone time was the best it's been all year against Dallas. And so, just build on it, continue to build on that. And that's what I know I've said this before, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what I was preaching again today is we have to go and do it again. We have to force Boston to play in their end of the rink, get them away from them feeling comfortable being in our building.
On that performance, Arnie actually continued on a little bit more and talked more about the challenge of taking what they were able to do well and grow into tonight's game against the Bruins. Here's a little bit more on that.
I'm trying to do that in the last couple of weeks. When the good things do happen, it's not 60 minutes of it, but we were really close last game to 60 minutes of it. And you're right, that's part of what you do. You got to build on the positives. You got to build on the correct things. There still is some teaching on some of the moments when it isn't right or doesn't look right. But at the end of the day, if we can kind of continue to do that and build it period to period, game to game, and hopefully that carries into tonight and then into Saturday and then into Monday. That's the best case scenario for us.
One more from Coach Arniel. And, listen, the Dallas power plays made a lot of penalty killing units look not so good this year. They were very, very dangerous every time they were out there. Scored 2 big goals, which, as the coach said yesterday, was the difference. Here's Arniel taking a look at their penalty kill going into tonight.
When we look at it, we look at, our entries. Are we doing a good job in the entries first and foremost? Let me back it up. Are we starting, are we winning some face-offs? Are we getting pucks down the ice, not allowing them to get the zone timing, getting stuck out there right off the bat? Is it entries, us doing a good job of not allowing them to get real true clean entries? And I think then obviously when we're moving and pressuring and getting our clears, all those 3 things kind of cohesive, then it's good. And one of those 2 or those things have kind of happened in the last few games, and that's an area we got to be more consistent with it.
Princess Auto, wonderful support we've received for years from Princess Auto, as they've done for so many of our sporting institutions, including the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Winnipeg Jets. Princess Auto, really synonymous with Winnipeg, as they're founded and headquartered right here in the Peg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new or cross off that special gift for Christmas waiting for you at Princess Auto. In Winnipeg, visit them on Panet Road or Portage Avenue West. Also out in Brandon for our friends at Westman. And as always, you can check out the great deals and shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Speaking of the holidays and a little snow, Terminator and the Chuds gang out at Chuds Power Sports are ready for the snow to fly, and they are ready for the holidays. It's the best gifts don't go under the tree. They come from Chuds Power Sports. Enjoy holly jolly savings across every department. And don't forget to browse their online parts store at truenorthparts.com for Christmas specials that slay the competition. Holiday must-haves this December include ATVs, side-by-sides, personal transportation, and commercial XTVs, not to mention ice, fish houses, RVs, gear and accessories. And with snowmobile season arrived, brand new Polaris and Arctic Cat sleds. This is the Christmas gift that guarantees excitement. Pop down and see the wonderful people at Chuds Power Sports taking care of the community. For over 80 years, Manitoba's undisputed power sports superstore. corner of Highway 8 and 231, and online at chudspowersports.com. And while we're talking about Christmas, Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery invite you to give the gift of power this year. Now, first and foremost, you got to make sure you get to Christmas, and it's going to be gnarly on the weekend. You can pop by your local Manitoba Battery on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive for a free battery test. And if you need a new battery, you'll get the best price in town. But right now, you can give the gift of power at Manitoba Battery with some great deals, including $5 to $10 off the incredible low prices on power sport batteries, $10 to $20 off booster packs for you ice fishermen and fishing people, $99 for the ice fishing flasher battery combo, 12-foot booster cables for under $20, and of course, you've got gift cards as well for the gift of power from Manitoba Battery. Your local option, best prices in town, beating the pants off the big box stores, best customer service, delivery citywide inside the perimeter, and of course, you can also order it all online at manitobabattery.com. All right, let's welcome in Brandon Rewucki from Skates and Plates for a little more Jets talk. Rew, what's good, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Good. I'm looking forward to this game. It's always cool. I mean, when the Eastern Conference original 6 teams come in, but this Boston team, listen, I haven't watched a ton of the Bruins. I probably caught 2 or 3 games this year. I mean, the thing that just keeps blowing me away is how Manitoba's Morgan Geekie scores every time the puck's on his stick. 22 on the season. I mean, just an amazing story. He sort of played himself into consideration for the Olympic team, which absolutely nobody had, particularly the Seattle Kraken when they didn't even qualify him a couple of years ago. But an interesting matchup of a team that has, I think, exceeded most people's expectations so far this year. And, of course, the home team, which has been, I think I can say conservatively, below expectations so far and dealing with a lot of things heading into tonight at NHL 500.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting comparison between the two because I think going back to last year, I assume almost everybody had the Bruins as a playoff team, right? You know, they were obviously dealing with a bunch of departures, but it was still like the bones of, you know, a first place team were still well put in there. And it was just an absolute disastrous year. They obviously fell to, what was it, fifth worst record in the NHL. To the point where they're at now, where it's like, maybe that team last year wasn't so bad, and this is a bit closer to what they really are. And it's just been the inverse of that for the Winnipeg Jets, where everything went right last year. It's been very little going right outside of a couple guys this year. But, I mean, Morgan Geekie's the fascinating one, right, where, you know, it's a great, I think, reminder and maybe something that a lot more management groups in the NHL could maybe take note of is that, you know, instead of always chasing the big names and, you know, the guys that put up X amount of points, sometimes just giving guys a shot can sure go a long way and give him all the credit in the world. He's taken a hold of that. And like he said, I mean, just to be in the Olympic discussion is, I mean, a massive achievement in and of itself, but also, you know, sometimes a lot of guys will say, if I would have had a chance, I could have done something. Well, there's a great example of it, and maybe why, you know, it's not always about how much you spend, but who you sign and who you target and who you acquire. That can really change the complexion of a franchise, because that's what he's done out there in Boston. They're a completely different team because he's legitimately been one of the best producing forwards in the league this year.
You know, I'm going to throw this out to the chat right now before I hit you with, and it is the importance of this game. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? From where I sit, you know, with where they are in this homestand at 500 right now, still waiting for Hellebuyck to return. This game tonight, going up against Korpisalo, seems like a game that the Winnipeg Jets have to have. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? I mean, how important is this one to get 2 points, to get the result that they need? Is it must win? Is it can't lose? Is it neither of the above? How would you rank the importance of this one? Granted, where we are in this season, but the current spot that the Jets are in right now and where we've seen them fall in the last month.
Well, let me just say this first, Huss. The Winnipeg can't lose, must win. The terminology the Jets want to avoid is being a backup team. Because right now, a lot of teams are putting their backup goalies against the Winnipeg. You do not want to be, because we all know why the backup goalie gets into it when the schedule gets tight. The coaching staff and management say, okay, this game's winnable, this game's winnable. We can squeeze our guy in here and here. So that's the first part is don't be backup team. But secondly, I mean,
we'll take it tonight.
we will take it. And maybe over the next couple it will be taken. But it's pretty wild, man. It feels like the Jets haven't won a game in a month. It's not, they've won 2-10, so it's not that far off. But they are just miraculously right there in the wild card spot, right? Like they're only a couple points back of Utah, who I believe still holds that last wild card spot. Them, Chicago are kind of in the mix there. They've got a bunch of games on Utah. Like all it takes is just a couple steps in the right direction to get this thing sorted. And with the Hellebuyck arrival likely to come sooner than later, which would be
How about that?
Unbelievably massive, it's like, all of a sudden it's not all doom and gloom here. And nobody wants to hear it. I thought they played their best game in months against Dallas a few nights ago. Weren't rewarded with anything, of course, but it's like if you could build off that performance, stack up another one here against Boston. You've got Ottawa coming up. You've got St. Louis in the mix here. Like there's some okay winnable games. At least the schedule isn't murderous. And Utah's dealing with a ton of injuries. Chicago and San Jose seem to be aware of who they are at this point in their rebuilds. And it's almost like we're only battling with Utah and St. Louis for a wild card. It becomes a lot more attainable here, but they've got to stack wins. That's the main thing, right? You can't just keep playing well and put up 0 in the point column night after night. It's got to be pretty much immediate here. And then maybe they can get on a bit of a run before the Olympic break when Hellebuck's fully healthy.
Yeah, you make a great point. As tough of a neighborhood as the Central is, with the best teams in the league, 2 for sure, and I think Minnesota's in that conversation of that top tier. The thing that's going for the Jets, to your point, is the fact that the middle of the West is not up to the level that the East is right now. The East doesn't have a Colorado or Dallas, but to be a wild card team right now in the East, it's the Penguins and Flyers in that spot. They're both 7 games above 500. The level is 2 in the West right now. And I mean, the teams that are in between Winnipeg and the Oilers and Hawks, who are both 13 and 11, like 2 games above 500, is the Sharks at 500, the Utah at a game under 500, and the Kraken at 2 games over 500, but with some games in hand. I mean, St. Louis is 2 below right now. I'm not even sure that I'm putting them in the conversation right now. But it's a clearly delineated group right now of teams that even if we just give the Oilers one of the wild card spots or assume that they'll get up into one of those spots and whoever is in the top 3 in the Pacific runs down, a very clear battle every single night when we're scoreboard watching of San Jose, of Utah, of the Chicago Blackhawks, with the exception of Utah, not really teams that I think we thought we'd be talking about in that spot, even right now, relatively early in the campaign.
Yeah, it's a tremendous bit of luck in what's been an unlucky season for the Jets in other ways. So it's like you take it when you can get it. And I mean, who knows if and when Logan Cooley comes back? He's the engine that really stirs the Mammoths' early season rise here, right? But I mean, the Jets are the most experienced out of all of those teams. So sometimes you do see some of these young teams come out of the gate hot, and then as the season rolls along, reality sets in, and they kind of fade further back to the pack. And maybe the Jets could be the opposite of that. But again, you need to put up some points here. So that's where this game is. To me, it could be a springboard game. It's not, you win against Boston. All right, everything's great, hunky dory. Let's battle Minnesota for 3rd in the division. It's like we can basically just avoid a further pitfall. But good effort against Dallas. In theory, a win, a good effort against Boston. Ottawa coming up hasn't played all that well so far this season with some injuries as well. So it's like you can kind of start to push this snowball at the top of the hill and get it going here. So it's not as dire as it was a few weeks ago when they were getting. It seemed like Winnipeg was just getting blown out of the building. Whether or not the scoreline suggested that, maybe they're starting to figure some things out, and some of the guys that have been out have got some games under their belt. So it's kind of like a gateway game. Maybe that's the term. Not a must win, not a can't lose, but a gateway game.
Well, and I'll say this. I mean, I really do think they have to find a way to get 2 points. And I mean, best case scenario, maybe they can get to Corpy early. And a couple of these guys that haven't seen a red light go on from anywhere other than the bench in a month or two can start, can get a little bit of good fortune going forward. Nyquist coming back into the lineup. This is a good time to actually take a look at the lines for tonight. And of course, when we fire up the lines on Winnipeg Sports Talk, we do it for our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years in the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. Captain approved. The Clean Line lines look like this. Connor Scheifele with Iafallo. We've got Perfetti and Nyquist on the wings with Vlad Nemestikov. Lowry and Niederreiter have Velarde on the right side, and Taves, Barron, and Koepke on the fourth line. Defense pairings look to stay the same. Morrissey, DeMello, Sambrick, Pionk, Stanley, Shen, with Elias now back with the Moose, and Comrie going tonight. We haven't spoken since last week when they did make these changes. Thoughts on how things are set up? Velarde with Niederreiter and Lowry. And, of course, speak to the opportunity that Nyquist has after being out for 3 or 4 games to get back in and try and get some positive momentum on his season individually.
Yeah, it's funny. I probably fall into this, so I'm not, laying blame, but I think a lot of Jets fans are like, change the lines. They get changed, and it's like, well, no, not like that. We wanted it to be a little different. I'm not a huge fan of this setup. I'm curious why the Jets haven't thought about giving Morgan Barron a little more responsibility. It seems like they've just held back on doing that. And I don't know. Again, I've made the point before. This team needs injection of speed any chance they can get it. And the fact that he's one of their biggest players too, but just to give him some more minutes and you change the complexion of your team a little bit. I would like to see that. Nyquist, we'll see. He's had spurts and bursts and flashes, but obviously nowhere near acceptable levels of production. Say the same about Cole Perfetti, though, couldn't you? That to me is the one guy that really needs a kick in the ass. And maybe Scott O'Neill plays back his comments last year when he was talking about being a pest. I'm paraphrasing. I forget the exact wording that he used. And he really took off in the second half of the season. And the guy we've seen this year is a shell of that. They needed him to be a 60-point guy this year, Huss. Not just somebody that can, fill in a spot in the middle six. They needed him to be a driver, and he just hasn't been able to deliver whatsoever so far. So we'll see if maybe a different look on that line can get his game going. But I don't overly love the lineup here, to be honest. And Luke Shannon on the third pair, I just think he's seen his best days come by. So it didn't hurt them against Dallas. The team played good, so I understand keeping it relatively the same, but we'll see.
The thing about Barron, and I'm sort of with you. I mean, like I think there's more to get out of Barron. The problem is that he hasn't scored since the 4th game of the season. He had that great start with 3 goals and 2 assists in the first 4 games. Since then, he's got 2 assists. Now, that line at times was, listen, we can talk about the guys that he's playing with, although I've got some time for Koepke, and they actually on the weekend had 2 goals in the Buffalo game and then 1, albeit in garbage time, against Edmonton. But there has been some possibilities. I'm hoping that maybe they do well and play a little bit more, and that's a good thing for Taves. Taves had a beautiful chance on against Dallas, which was good to see. We've kind of talked about his struggles as well. But, yeah, when we're talking about that line, whether it's the second line or third line, I don't know. With Vlad in the middle, he's been ice cold. You talk about Cole Perfetti. He did get an assist in the last game. And I did think at time being at the game, there was a couple of shifts where it looked a little more like the Cole that we remember from last year when he was confident and when he was playing well. But there's very clear a challenge to him to get out there. He's going to be back up with the number one power play unit. Like, I'm not sure he's done anything that said, oh, you got to put me on there. But it's very clear right now they are trying to put him in some situations that, he can get going a little bit. And, whether that eventually ends him back up, maybe if they have Vilardi off of that top line, maybe there's a spot for him there at some point. But I think the challenge for him to kind of show that should be an option for the coaches before they just do that for a guy, hey, he hasn't scored in 2 months. Let's put him back up with Scheifele and Connor and see if things can get going.
Yeah, it's like we talked about last week. The problem is there are very few players worthy of promotion. So
yes,
you can't really play that game like, well, what have they done? Well, nobody's really done anything outside the top line, but we've got to try to reconfigure what we have here into something that's workable. We'll see. I do think Hudson's getting to the point where I know Scott Arniel hasn't done this as far as I know, and it's been quite a while since the Jets as an organization have wielded this tool, but you need so much more out of a guy like Cole Perfetti. If this level of performance continues, I think a healthy scratch isn't out of the options, out of the arsenal that you have, right? Because you just can't continue this, listless descent into the bottom of the Western Conference with the personnel that you have, with really the age group and the contention window you've put yourself in. Like, you've got to get to drastic measures sooner than later. And, Scott Arniel's been exceedingly patient with this team, more so than I think 95% of the coaches in this league would be. And I just, they've held off changing the lineup a ton. This is the first time they've cracked that whip. I wonder if basically that's step 2 that he's sitting on here, where, and it doesn't have to be a permanent thing, but sometimes just a 1-game wake-up call to, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 members of the team. It shouldn't be that way, but sometimes that's enough to get somebody going, right? So I think that's, we could talk about switching the top line and things like that, but Cole Perfetti himself has to generate more scoring opportunities. He's got to have an extra little bit of giddy up in his game, because to me, it's the cardinal sin you can say of a player in the NHL. I just don't notice him. That's the what, it doesn't have to be run Nikita Zadorov over or something like that, but do what makes you special. Give something that the coaching staff can build off of, right? And it seems like too often it's cruise control for a lot of the forwards on this team this year.
Yeah, and I know Phyllis and a couple of people mentioning that interview with Perfetti. We've got some clips. We'll play it after we speak with Brandon. But did speak to, some hesitancy, some fear that the ankle is where it is. And I guess you got to deal with that, but that's something you got to get over. I mean, if you're good enough to play and you're deemed healthy and you're in the lineup, I mean, you can't be going at 75% because you're worried you're going to get hurt. If that's the case, you're probably not ready to play. Yeah. And that's a mental thing that I think he's really got to get over right now.
And it was a high ankle sprain, right?
Yeah.
So my whole body's broken. And I didn't play at a pro level, obviously. But I had to deal with a high ankle sprain. And the good news is you can play with it the rest of the year. And the harsh reality, though, is it's not getting better till the off season. So you just got to deal with it. There's going to be pain. There's going to be some mobility issues, but it's something you can play through. And with the way skate boots are, it is kind of a relatively safe issue to play through, right? So I'm with you there. It's either you've got to learn to play with it and persevere through it, or if you're not healthy enough, you gotta sit. It does the team no good to try to. Not that he's half-assing it, but it does the team no good to try to, I'm going to get into the lineup because it's okay, but I can't play the way I want to, right? You're hurting
no one
yourself.
wins. No one wins in that case. We'll hear from Nyquist as well. He'd never been scratched before in his entire career. I can't say that I spent a lot of time really focusing in on number 14 when he's been in the lineup so far this year. And you mentioned kind of not being noticeable. I think we could certainly chalk that up to plenty of games from Gus so far this year. But tonight will be different. When you sit out for multiple games for the first time in your career and you get a chance to come back in, I think the onus is on a veteran player like that to say, message received, you've got a time to reset and go out and play at another level of whether it's desperation, urgency, whatever the word you want to prescribe to it, to be a difference maker and to be a positive influence on the end of this hockey game. Yeah.
I mean, he was really the crown jewel, or one of the crown jewels of the team's offseason. I know they weren't expecting him to be a like for like, but he was signed as the Nick Healer's replacement. So they obviously felt like he had a lot more left in the tank. We'll see. I mean, it's pretty wild to be at that point in your career and never have a healthy scratch. We'll see though. I mean, there's been times this year at least he's popped a bit. Like the production obviously isn't there, but I feel like at least I've noticed him a few occasions. And maybe this, makeshift line with him, Perfetti, and Vladdy can find a little bit of chemistry and just give you a bit of a spark. But again, your options are so limited here that I don't mind going back to this well and seeing if the old guy can give you a couple of shifts and even a couple of games of production. But you're running out of options pretty quickly if he comes in and throws a bagel over the next 5 games, right? Like you just don't really have a whole lot at your disposal here. So it might be a bit more of a wish than it is, something that the coaching staff knows they can rely on. But I'm open to it. I'm open to a lot of suggestions. So let's see if it can somehow turbocharge 3 guys at once.
Yeah, the other guy that could really use a big game tonight is Eric Comrie, and not like hanging the loss on him on Tuesday night. I mean, a couple of those power play goals. I mean, good luck with that. But I think back to when the team has won while he's been out. I mean, the Nashville game, certainly the Buffalo game last week, the point they got in Montreal. I mean, these were games when Eric Comrie had bounced back from tough starts during this time without Connor Hellebuyck. And this goaltending matchup, I mean, right now with where Comrie's numbers are, not often are you going to be on the right side of the ledger when you're looking at the matchup. But to me, this is a big opportunity for Comrie to put forward another strong professional start and give his team a chance to win, and hopefully a couple more can get behind the opposition goaltender.
Yeah, I think he knows too that the starts are going to start to wind down pretty quickly here. So there's only
make the most of it.
Yeah, make the most of it. You might as well, like, whatever you got left in the tank here, empty out in the next few games. But I'm with you. Like, I saw some people blaming him in a way for the loss against Dallas, and maybe even to an extent the team's record. I think he's been just fine. I don't really have a big problem with his game. Like you said there, I mean, one of the power plays, it was basically just Robertson, Heiskanen, Rantanen. Let's whip it across the top and the flank here, and we'll wait because nobody's coming at us, and eventually you basically pass it into the empty net from the slot. So I have no issues with the goaltending of this team, really, as long as Comrie's in the net. He's a resilient dude. Like, he gets it. I think he's going to at least give this team a chance to win. And that's pretty much the main thing you can do as a backup right now, is just keep it to 3 and under, right? I know this team struggles to score goals, but if you can even, 2 in regulation, 3, whatever it is, that should be good enough right now. And I hope you get a little bit of secondary scoring somewhere, right? But I think Comrie's going to be just fine over the next handful of games.
Brandon, what's cooking over at Skates and Plates?
Yeah, recap Jets Bruins tomorrow morning, and maybe a little Olympic Canadian roster preview. I got
Where's your Shifo meter for the Olympic team?
The Shifo meter is very high. It is.
Me too.
It is leading very well in the positive direction. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more not who am I taking off. It's I just got to find a way to get Scheifele, Suzuki, Bedard, and Celebrini all on the same team. So maybe a little bit of talk about that as well.
Who's out? We'll look forward to the next episode. Have a great one. Enjoy the game tonight.
Sounds good. You too. We'll talk soon.
All right. There is Brandon Rewucki. We are going to have our pal Dan Fink join us in a couple minutes for the latest on the Moose. We'll hear these clips from Carl Perfetti in just a second. Let me head over, though, and do some fan feedback for fansfirst.ca, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market, where what you see is what you pay. No added fees, period, ever at Fans First. And the number one most popular place to sell extra tickets if you've got an extra pair for a game. Blake G9. Barron has plenty of responsibility. He's getting old man Taves out of the funk that he's in. Well, I'm not sure whether that's really on Morgan Barron. Barron is in an equally large funk, if not bigger, after a great start to the season. Obviously, he missed some games, came back, hasn't been the same, but I think we're waiting for a bit of a breakout for Barron, certainly compared to the way that he started. Jude says, put Barron between Perfetti and Nino and see how it goes. BA, Barron has had a few good games and done nothing. Ooh, even dropped an all caps overrated in the chat. Here's one from Rob Mahoney. Agree with Brandon that any injection of speed can only help. Ehlers and Apples were obviously fast and hardworking, but even Kupari would blaze around the ice, even if he had stone hands. He had world-class wheels, and he did have some stone hands as well. Keep your thoughts coming in on tonight's game, the current plight of the Winnipeg Jets in the chat right now. Fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, by fans, for fans. No fees. All right, let's hear from Cole Perfetti. We promised this a little earlier. There's been a lot of talk and chat about it. Cole did meet the media, been doing some extra work after practices and after morning skates, looking to get this turned around. Here's Perfetti on what he's been working on when he's been staying out late.
I'm just trying to, feel good about my game, feel good with the puck on my stick, and just feel under control. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was just, getting the puck in the right position and making some plays and just feeling good out there. I think that's the big part of it is, there's games right now where you don't feel the best, and you go into practice the next day just looking to, get touches that make you feel good about yourself heading into the next game. And that's, what I've been trying to do the last couple of days is just feel good in practice, feel good on, going into a game. So then when the game comes, you already have that positive mindset and feeling good about yourself.
Here's Cole talking about, listen, the challenges that he and the team are dealing with right now, but the young player talked about just going through and dealing with this scoring slump that he's had after the late start to his season due to injury.
You never want to go through this. You never want to go, it's going to happen throughout your career. And, lucky enough or unlucky enough, I'd been through it before in the past. And, you learn a lot about yourself and a lot about yourself as a player and person, how you deal with this kind of stuff. And it's all just really, a mindset. It's you keep doing the same thing. It's not like you got worse as a hockey player. It's just, sometimes the puck bounces for you, sometimes it doesn't. And trying to keep that confidence is something that, I learned throughout. I think that first year when I went through it, I think the confidence was low, and then you lose ability in your game because you don't feel good about yourself. But so just trying to keep that, and I think it goes for the group as well, trying to keep the confidence as a group. We're a heck of a hockey team, and we know it. Obviously, we haven't been getting the results that we want. Some nights haven't been our best efforts, but then there's been a lot of games where we've, played really well and haven't got the 2 points. And I think just having that confidence in our group within each other and having the belief that we are a team that a year ago we won the President's Trophy. We're a team that is very deep, very skilled, very good, and when we're on, not a lot of teams can play with us, and we just have to continue to have that belief in our group.
All right, so there's Cole Perfetti. This next clip is sort of what we were talking about, what he's been dealing with coming back from the high ankle sprain. Here's 91 on the challenges coming back from the injury he sustained that delayed the start of his season.
Just trusting it is a hard thing. for the first little bit, you're a little hesitant. It's not as strong. It's not as, so you're scared, not scared, but you're a little hesitant to, get leaned on the same way. Like it's still, there is, even when you come back, like you're cleared to play, but there's still a little bit of, achiness or pain to it, and it's not, ideal to play with, but just trying to get over that mental hurdle of you have to, feel a couple, tweaks and twinges and then kind of mentally get over it in that aspect. And, then just feeling good again about yourself, about your game. It's a tough process coming back, but everyone goes through it. It's part of the game, and just trying to get back to mid-season form as fast as possible.
All right, and one more from Cole. This is not just an individual, but more the team. And Cole was asked and discussed the team's search for consistency, something they're hopefully going to build on after a much stronger performance against the Dallas Stars on Tuesday. Here's what Cole had to say on that.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think, like you said, last year we were night in, night out, the exact same team, and that's what made us so good. And I think, it's not lack of effort, compete, deep, attention. Guys are trying their hardest in here. The guys want to win more than anything, and it's not a lack of that. It's maybe I'm not really sure. Things don't go your way for a little bit, then you start, pressing or doing things that are a little uncharacteristic, and then that's when mistakes happen, I think. And when you don't get the puck luck early in the year like that, as a group, we were kind of having trouble scoring as a group and having not flowing nicely, and then you might start doing stuff you're not typically known to do, and then it just kind of spirals from there. But I think our group here is so committed to winning, so committed to putting in the work and the effort, and you can tell night in and night out that it's there. It's just just finding the detailed consistency every single game and every single shift is, and just playing our game and doing what we do that makes our group and as individuals successful.
Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets for all of your plumbing needs, both residential and commercial. Clean Line has got you covered, as well as heating and electrical services. And like the captain who has the backs of the Winnipeg Jets, Clean Line has your back 24/7, 365 with emergency services available in the Winnipeg area. For all your plumbing, heating, and electrical needs, use Clean Line, family owned and operated for over 40 years. Check them out online at cleanline.ca. We are, 8 days away from our holiday get-together watch party, December 17th, Boston Pizza, Kenaston. I know it seems like a lot of people in the chat looking forward to joining us. If you haven't made plans or a podcast listener, give them a buzz, reserve a table, or just come down and join us for what should be a heck of a lot of fun. In the meanwhile, great gift card promo right now at BP. With every $50 gift card you purchase for gifting, you get a $10 promo card as well. And if you need to buy for an office or a big run, you'll get an extra 10% gift cards for every $1,000 purchased. You can get those at any local Boston Pizza. And if you're staying at home to watch the game tonight, order online at bostonpizza.com. The Christmas push continues at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's sports superstore. Jets gear, moving, jerseys, of course, customized with your favorite players' name and number, ready to be opened up under the tree. Royals got it all. They've also got the entire National Hockey League covered with jerseys and more from around the league, not to mention NFL, Jays and Major League Baseball, NBA, Raptors, international soccer, Team Canada gear for the upcoming World Cup. And for all you hockey players, over $200,000 in sticks on the floor, priced up to 50% off. Great deals on hockey equipment. And, of course, tons of great gift ideas on the King's Skate, Snow, and Surf side of the store as well. Not to mention the biggest snowboard department in town. It's all waiting for you in time for Christmas at Royal Sports. 750 Pembina Highway. Check them out online on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and some great holiday gift ideas. All right, Stephen Ellis is going to join us to fill us in on this World Junior Camp coming up. First up, though, let's give a big holiday cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, it's not just a busy week and weekend at home for the Winnipeg Jets. The Manitoba Moose are in action tomorrow night, Friday, as well as Sunday afternoon, and then a double header of matinees the following weekend. Let's bring in our guy, Daniel Fink, the play-by-play voice of the Manitoba Moose. What's going on, dude? How are you?
Doing swell, getting ready for a busy weekend of hockey here. Might try to catch the Jets in addition to these couple of Moose games as well. So looking forward to a great weekend all through at Canada Life Center.
Hey, just big picture, how much more fun is it being around the team, and how much more fun are the guys having this year with the great start that the team's had, sitting comfortably fourth in the Western Conference right now, considering the real struggles of the last couple seasons?
Yeah, it was hard earned too, right, Huss? I mean, it was a bit of a slow start for the team. Got off to kind of struggled out of the gate trying to figure out who they were and fully come together. And I think some nights they still need to figure out that identity at times, but you know what? It's certainly a different feeling right now when you come into the rink expecting to win every night and knowing that you're going to have that opportunity because one, the forward group, you don't know which line it's going to be, but one of those lines is going to do something for you. The defenses hold the line right now and your goaltending is real strong. So the Moose certainly put themselves in a good spot early on in a very tight Central Division outside of the Grand Rapids Griffins, who just keep on beating everybody. But overall for this Moose team, they've, you know what, after coming into game 25 here, they're in a good spot and ready to cruise into kind of the middle portion of the season.
Yeah, that Grand Rapids team is insane right now. We've talked a lot about Colorado, who went through this entire, stretch with only one regulation loss. They've now got two. Grand Rapids 21-0-1 on the season right now.
It's one of the best starts in AHL history. It's right up. They posted a graphic the other day, and they're up there in the top 3 or something like that. It's incredible what they've done so far.
Well, the for the Moose, it's funny. Often you'll say, "Oh, the American League team is sort of a reflection of the NHL team." That is not really the case with the Moose this year. The Jets have been pretty much a one-line team, and they've been desperate to find scoring elsewhere in the lineup outside of Scheifele, Connor, Velarde. The Moose, this might be the most well-balanced lineup we've seen in years, Dan. Walker Duehr's leading the team, I should say, with 8 goals. But, even just in points, 3 guys at 14, 3 guys at 13, a couple guys at 11, and go through the top 10 goal scorers. Everyone has somewhere between 4 and 8 goals. There's no one that's doing it, kind of putting the team on his back. But at the same point, they're really getting some important contributions from up and down the lineup.
Yeah, and I think the Moose would love to have those totals a little bit higher. Obviously, offense was a real struggle for them through the early portion of the season, and then they were scoring just enough to kind of get the job done. And now, over the last little bit, outside of being shut out last weekend once there by the Iowa Wild, we've seen the Moose start to get up to 4 and 5 goals a little more consistently. So that is definitely a good sign, because if this team starts scoring more on a regular basis, it'll make them a real tough out. So I think sometimes the puck just won't go for them, and they've kind of fought through that in the early portion of the season. So we'll see if that runs. But it reminds me a lot of their makeup in that 21-22 season when they had that great series against the Milwaukee Admirals. It was just a very deep forward group. And I don't believe they had one player in the top 100 in scoring in the AHL, but everybody had 40 points. all through the lineup. It was just everybody was in about 10, 15 points of each other for the most part. And they just produced that way. They would just roll over teams because you never knew which line it was going to be on any given night. And every line could go out there and match up against whatever line. So that's kind of the feeling you get from this team. And you really saw it in the third period and that road trip finale in Iowa as the Moose just kind of wore down the Wild, and eventually they just couldn't hang in the third period. It was just all Moose for 20 minutes. They put 18 shots on goal. They only scored twice, but had plenty of other opportunities. So we'll see if that can start to become the norm a little bit more. Obviously, you're not going to dominate teams for 20 solid minutes or 60 solid minutes all the time, but if the Moose can get to that position where they are really stringing together 2, 3, 4 shifts of pressure, things like that, you're going to start to wear teams down and find success that way.
It was an interesting swap of goaltenders. We all know what the Jets are dealing with right now without Hellebuyck. We were speaking off air earlier about the seasons that both Milic and DiVincentis have had so far. For folks that haven't been saying, how good has the goaltending been for the Moose? And then speak to what Milic had to say about his NHL experience. And, of course, Dom now being the guy backing up Eric Comrie for the time being.
Yeah, it couldn't have been much better timing than for me to have a chat with Drew McIntyre last weekend ahead of that goalie swap. And you know what? They've just been such a solid battery for the Moose over the last little while. Now, of course, flipping spots with the Jets. But you look at DiVincentis and Milic, and I think both of them would have said that they would have liked to get off to slightly better starts. But, man, the month before Thomas Milic got called up, incredible numbers. The month before Dominic DiVincentis gets called up, incredible numbers, both sub 2.0 goals against averages, up around 920 to 930 save percentages over those spans. So really impressive stuff from a pair of still very young netminders, Huss. These are still very young players guarding the pipes in the toughest position to play for this team. So the Moose being able to rely on those guys has been really nice. And it's been good to see that depth come through. We were talking about the forwards, but on the goaltending side as well, because one of those guys goes up, in comes Isaac Poulter, who's got more AHL experience than either of them. So he comes in, he's got a couple of wins already. So the goaltending's been real solid. It was funny. I was watching DiVincentis interviews his scrum the other day. He said, yeah, got told, called my dad right away. I can confirm he called him right away because all of a sudden I was coming back down to the room after that game and DiVincentis is hustling by me, big grin on his face, tapping away on the phone. So I was trying to figure what was going on, but figured something was up. And sure enough, he was making that phone call home. So that was pretty cool to see kind of in action. But and I think the other fun thing with those two is they're so supportive of each other. You talk to DiVincentis about Milic going up, and he's just excited to see Milic between the pipes. And then talking to Thomas yesterday or the other day, he's just ecstatic that Dom's going to get to go through the same thing that he did in getting that opportunity in the National Hockey League. So they're a very supportive duo of each other. You have to be when you're goaltenders, I feel like. But it's been a lot of fun to watch them get this opportunity, which have been few and far between for Moose goaltenders over the last near decade. I mean, in my time here, Haas, this is my 10th season, seen just Eric Comrie make his NHL debut with the Winnipeg Jets because everybody's been so healthy and those opportunities just haven't been there. So obviously you'd prefer to have Connor Hellebuyck between the pipes for the Winnipeg Jets, but if he's not there, this is pretty cool to see as well.
No doubt about it. It was cool to see Chibrikov and Parker Ford and Brad Lambert get a little taste of NHL action early on. They are back with the Moose right now. Just looking, all three of those guys, just with one goal on the year so far. I mean, tell us a little bit about getting back to the American League and what you've seen from three guys that could very well be one phone call away at any point.
Yeah, I think the production maybe has been a little slower than some folks and themselves as scorers like to score would like to see. But I mean, we've seen Brad Lambert start to pick up the pace a little bit offensively. Some of those pucks he's setting things up, and there's a little more offense starting to happen there. And for Parker Ford, obviously, guys like Parker, if they go to the net, and sometimes that puck bounces left instead of right. And when it starts bouncing right, all of a sudden the goals start to rack up. And so we saw Nikita Chibrikov put on all sorts of nasty moves in the shootout and score a beautiful goal in the previous home game for the Moose. So those things are there. And again, like we've been talking about, this team is so deep up front that these guys aren't necessarily out there 20 minutes a night or something like that. So they're rolling 4 lines. So those offensive numbers aren't necessarily going to explode off the page at you. So it's more about getting that process right. And I think we'll see the offense start to come for those guys a little more as the season goes on.
You know what? Speaking of coming on, it seems like Braden Yeager's getting a lot more comfortable as a professional and continuing to grow. I mean, tell us about his first 25 as a pro and what you've seen from the young Jet prospect.
Yeah, it's always interesting watching these young players go through those early days, right? And sometimes it pops right off the page for them and on they go. Other times they'll get in, they'll have some early success, and then the grind of the season starts to catch up with you a little bit. And I think that happens for pretty much any young player. I mean, we've seen it through other teams. Saw the Rockford IceHogs, Nick Lardis, get off to an incredible start. Then all of a sudden he went almost 10 games with just a few points. So for Braden Yeager, it's been just a steady progression, and he's found a way to generate some offense. He's been on some different lines that have given him different looks. He's been able to get in that power play time. So I think one of the things that you notice about Braden Yeager is sometimes you don't notice him in a good way, in that he can play in his own zone. He can make things happen that way. He can be that two-way presence. And then you'll see that offensive ability jump off the page every once in a while. So, I mean, there's much like the rest of the Moose. I mean, there's been opportunities there that just haven't fallen for him. And he's definitely one of those guys that could stand to have a few more points on the board, but they just haven't gone in for him.
I remember being at the opener. I mean, he scored on his first shift as a professional, and then it was a little slow, but it does seem like it's coming around. And of course, they'll have more chances to light the lamp this weekend. It's the Francophone night, Franco-Manitoban night, tomorrow night, Sunday as well. Tee up the weekend for folks that want to go check out some Moose hockey, Finker.
Yeah, this is pretty great. The Moose are home for the holidays here all through. So looking forward to this. This weekend, it'll be the Iowa Wild in for a couple of games. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. It is Soirée Francophone. So looking forward to having Le Barn Boys on the stage. Folks who have been to Festival de Voyageurs will recognize that name, I think. So looking forward to that one. Should be a blast. We'll have some bilingual PA announcements and in-stand hosts, things like that. Lots of Francophone businesses, organizations on the concourse. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be an absolute blast. Seems like community is really on board with this one, and looking forward to having a little fun here tomorrow night. And then on Sunday, it is the annual Teddy Bear Toss in support of Christmas Cheer Board. So be sure, if you already have your tickets to that one, be sure to bring a new plush toy or 2 or 3 with you to toss on the ice in the first intermission in support of a great cause. And if you don't have your tickets yet and you haven't been to a Teddy Bear Toss, you definitely want to take it in. It is truly one of the spectacles that you will see throughout hockey during the holidays. So it's a great holiday tradition. Looking forward to that one. That's a 2 o'clock puck drop at Canada Life Center on Sunday. You can get your tickets for both those games at moosehockey.com/tickets. And then next weekend for a pair of games against the Rockford IceHogs, got the Winter Carnival as well.
Yeah, tell us about the Winter Carnival. I was looking at the promo schedule. I mean, they're going back to back. I mean, with it sounds like a really fun weekend coming up the following.
Well, you know, like here in Manitoba, we get it. We hear it all the time. Winter is cold, but we love it, right? You got to embrace it. You got to enjoy it. So why not throw a party in the middle of winter? So the weather's finally cooperating. Sounds like there's going to be some activations going on outside the rink, even on Graham Avenue. They're going to have more details about that soon. But put it on, you know, like it's, what is it, Slapshot? It's a carnival-like atmosphere. So we'll have some acrobatic performances and things like that going on throughout the game, stuff like that. There's always this time of year. There's fun drink specials. I think they had a s'mores old fashioned on the menu. It's sometimes it's tough to have to work. But looking forward to some of those things going on as well. So it should be a lot of fun for those games against the Rockford IceHogs to close out the pre-holiday schedule. I can't believe I'm saying that already, Huss. It has come up quickly, but here we are, and getting up towards that Christmas time. So looking forward to a lot of fun throughout the holidays. And then just on the other side of all that, it's time for the big New Year's Eve game, so really looking forward to that.
Yeah, of course. Tickets going really well for that one. If you haven't already gotten your spots for the traditional 4 p.m. New Year's Eve game, the Moose will be going at it with Abbotsford the 31st at 4th, and then the Friday, January 2nd game, mini bobblehead night as well. So go to moosehockey.com, ticket information, promotional information, and much more on the team that's having a great start to the season. Best of the season to you. Have some great calls this weekend. We'll look forward to talking to you soon, Dan.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll chat soon.
All right, good stuff. There is Dan Fink. All right, we got to bang out our latest edition of the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll just before we bring in our pal Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. Want to talk to him about this Thursday nighter tonight and see what's up on the Lax beat. I think Patty's coming to us from the nation's capital. But Remo, if we can, let's fire up the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll for our friends at Chuds Power Sports who are ready for snowmobile season and are ready for the holidays. If you want the gift of fun and excitement, check out chudspowersports.com and pop by and see the Derminator and their amazing staff out in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. Couple changes in the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll this week on Winnipeg Sports Talk, but nothing at the top. The number one team is once again the Colorado Avalanche. It'll be interesting to see if they get knocked off at any point this year in the Power Poll. But they've got 2 regulation losses. They're the class of the NHL right now, and they maintain their number 1 spot, as do the Dallas Stars at number 2. We saw how good the Stars were and what they're able to do with the man advantage in a game that the Jets played a heck of a lot better, still wasn't good enough. Dallas 25-5-5 right now at number 2 on the Power Poll. Funny enough, another team we're going to see this week during this homestand is, of course, Saturday night, Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. Capitals have been the best and most consistent team in the East as of late, 18-9-3 on the campaign. They move up into the 3-hole ahead of the Minnesota Wild, who, after that rough start, have continued to play at a really high level. I believe they're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games right now. And they've got the Stars tonight. Big matchup of the 2 and 4 teams on the Chud Sports Power Poll tonight. Big Central Division matchup. And we're going to give the Carolina Hurricanes the nod as the number 5 team. Came down to them and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa had a tough loss earlier this week to Toronto. Did bounce back on the second night of back-to-backs, pumping the Habs 6-1. But the Canes are the real deal. Our old pal Nikolai Ehlers doing well with this new club. Carolina is at number 5. Colorado, Dallas, Washington, Minnesota, Carolina. That is the weekly edition of the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll, brought to you by Chuds Power Sports in Gimli. Check them out today, chudspowersports.com, and check out truenorthparts.com for all your parts needs, as well as great clearance deals on gear and accessories. All right, coming off an amazing kickoff to the road to Costa Rica at our WST poker last night, let's welcome in Patty G himself, Pat Gregoire. Pat, what's going on? How are you, my friend?
Awesome, doing great. I'm not doing quite as good as you, though, coming off a top 4 finish. I know part of you probably a little bit salty that we didn't have any play downs, but the next few tournaments are all that you care about is that top 4, because that's going to punch your ticket to the Costa Rica Poker Festival final for Canada.
Yeah, and again, congratulations to me. Although I'm going, I just wanted to bury horror. It's myself. Take the opportunity to do that. Congratulations to Eagle Eyes, Machine Blank, and Beelzebubba, who were the other top 3. And PvP Jets. If you're watching, yes, you did technically come 5th, but the good news for you is that I was in the top 4, so we're going to give that next ticket to our 5th place finisher, which is you. Now, I believe the 4 that qualified are already automatically in. PvP, check your account. If you go there, there'll be a ticket added for you, and you can enter manually, but you are in. Pat, listen, before we get to everything, I have to tell you, you guys have really made it. Your impact on our program and all the fun stuff we've done has finally manifested itself into maybe the greatest honor one can get. And that, Pat, is your personalized Christmas card from none other than Winnipeg's own Dancing Gabe. He came up to me at the game against Buffalo last Friday night and said it was too bad he wasn't. He wanted to meet you guys when you guys were in town. It didn't happen. and then showed up at the game with personalized cards for the WST team and you and Jake.
What a legend.
You got to love that. You can just say that you're making an impact here in the Winnipeg community when you get a Christmas card from the legend himself, Dancing Gabe.
Well, listen, Huss, I've won a NLL Media Person of the Year award before. I've had many other accolades and accomplishments. This is going up right there because to get a handwritten Christmas letter from Dancing Gabe is absolutely all time. Thank you, Dancing Gabe. I cannot wait to read that thing, hang it up, be very proud of it. And it's okay. We missed you for Grey Cup weekend. Don't worry. We will be back very soon. We're excited to visit the Peg again. We're excited to get some other things going. But in all seriousness, really appreciate it. That's just Winnipeg hospitality, baby. I absolutely love it.
You know it. And speaking of getting you guys out here, we're going to have to get the planning in effect soon because Heritage Classic, Jets, Habs, end of October next year. Listen, we had such a great time with you guys out here doing our event. I think we need to run it back with the Coolbet crew coming out for that event. It should be a heck of a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll cook something up for our listeners and Coolbetters to get in on that. Patty, let's we've been so focused on the pucks right now and the plight of the Winnipeg Jets that. And I mean, listen, granted, I didn't really want to think or talk to anyone about the NFL despite, dude, you should have seen it at the game. I must have had 20 different people, of which I maybe knew 4 or 5, chirping me about the Chiefs. I mean, there is a lot of grave dancing right now, and I get it. But we do have a pretty interesting game tonight in the NFL. Not that the Falcons have been must-see TV, but this is a huge game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, I just love, we've talked about Carolina Mike and the Panthers, and ever since he said, keep pounding with the song, you ready to go in and play the Packers at Lambeau, and they won, it's sort of taken on a bit of a life of its own. Love that guy. They were the big winner last week on the bye, and we come in still with 2 games remaining head-to-head between Carolina and Tampa, week 16 and week 18. The Bucs have been going the wrong direction. I really thought they'd get through that really tough part of their schedule and then would be good, and then they lost at home to the Saints. They're right now 5.5-point favorites. I actually saw this line, at 4.5 earlier. I guess it's 4.5 at -115, 5.5 at -105. This has got to be a get-right game for Baker Mayfield, who only passed for like 120 yards last week against the Saints at home against an Atlanta team that has been consistently disappointing pretty much all year, with the exception of their home game against the Bills.
I know it's difficult to say a must-win game for the Buccaneers because of the head-to-head. So technically, like, you still have, destiny in your hands. But their schedule, they finished with the Dolphins, and they got the Panthers the next week, the Dolphins, and then the Panthers again. Where the Panthers have those 2 games against the Buccaneers, but then a very challenging game against the Seahawks. So yes, definitely not must win, but you're probably feeling a lot better going into that next 2 games against the Panthers if you split and you're ahead up a game for sure. But you bring it in, and it's a get-right game. It's not just about getting the win. It's about getting that offense back on track. It's about finding their stride on defense. It's about getting that confidence. It's about getting Mike Evans back in the lineup, which all indications say that he is going to play tonight. How much action is he actually going to see, which kind of leans into some of my plays here. But just to go over the numbers here, Huss, the Buccaneers over the last 3 games have averaged 15.7 points per game. That is a wink at what they were doing earlier on in the year. Let's not forget, we're talking about Baker Mayfield being a MVP finalist through the first 5-6 weeks of the season. And yes, I know a lot of injuries have changed that, but they look like a shell of themselves since what we saw earlier on. They're starting to get healthy. Vibes now have to start to traject on the way up, because you are right. Time is running out, and the last thing you want to do is go up against the Panthers with destiny in your hands and allow a game against a pretty lowly Falcons team to be the difference between making the playoffs, winning your division, and not.
Now, I mean, this is a divisional game, even though the season is lost. Kirk Cousins certainly is trying to show that he can still play. There's a big hate on between these teams.
Oh, yeah.
The Panthers seem to be sort of out of it, but like the rivalry between the Saints and the Falcons is huge, and Tampa Bay as well. I guess if I had to go one way or the other, I'm probably going with Tampa just because of their situation. But to be honest, Pat, I look at this number at 44, and I'm actually thinking about the under in this game.
Yes.
In that neither of these offenses really are clicking very much, and this could be a game where they're more than happy to punt, play field position football, and make the most of what opportunities you get.
I love it. It's down on my notes right here. I love the under, and I know life is too short to bet the under. I love betting my overs, but on the Thursday night on short rest against two teams that aren't really figuring it out. And you could argue, well, the Buccaneers are starting to get guys back. They're starting to get healthy. Well, again, how much is Mike Evans actually going to play here tonight? So I love the under. I already mentioned about what the Bucs have been doing over the last 3 weeks. How about this for Atlanta? The last 8 games, 19 points per game. That's just certainly not going to be good enough when you're talking about hitting an over here. So I do like the under. I do also like 2 player props as well. Bijan over reception yards. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the worst team in the NFL when it comes to defending wide receivers in the passing game. No team is worse. And I know Bijan's season has kind of started to tail down a little bit, but with Kirk Cousins, I think we're going to see a lot of him dumping it off to Bijan, getting him involved in that passing game. And you talk about how they've struggled against running backs that catch the ball. There's not a better running back in the NFL outside of maybe Christian McCaffrey at catching the ball, making things happen after contact as well. So give me the over on his reception yards. And I did mention how Mike Evans is back. I don't know how much he's actually going to play. But when you look at Emeka Egbuka's numbers, now all his props have shifted down. His receptions were earlier on this year were at 4.5, 5.5. Now they're teetering down 3.5, 4.5. Egbuka, I really like him over on his reception yards. I would even consider laddering it because I just don't know how many snaps and how many passes are going to the way of Mike Evans. I don't think the target share is certainly going to be that much of an effect. And you mentioned Huss, Baker has been really bad. Last week he was awful. Why not get back on track, find a way to get your swagger back? And one of the ways in doing that, find your best target and feed him the ball.
I'm with you. That actually was the what? I mean, it's only 50 or more yards to the over. 49.5 is the number. And I to be honest, I wasn't thinking about it, but I mean, over 54.5 at plus 112, over 59.5 at plus 142 might be worth it as well. The one guy that I'm going to add to the card tonight is an anytime touchdown for Bucky Irving.
Love that one,
Irving is, such a versatile player. They have missed him so much. Since he's been back, he has sort of really taken over that bell cow role, and he does get the action in and around the goal line. So at plus 126, I love the Bucky Irving number as well. That number, by the way, on Bijan, 37.5 receiving yards we've talked about. And if you're wondering about the actual reception number, over 4.5 for Bijan is minus 103. And Egbuka, minus 159 over 3.5, plus 136 on over 4.5. I might pop in a 5-catch game as well for Egbuka. He was very quiet last week against the Saints. And I think we've got some. Good a good chance to get a couple winners. Oh, by the way, in the chat, Schickster, was there still a cash win last night? Not just the invite to the finale. Yeah, they took care of the crew, but it was basically a 4-way split because the tournament ended when the Final Four was determined. So again, we're going to add that ticket for PvP Jets. And then the other two, which are qualifiers for the event, I think we may have just lost Pat, but I'll confirm that for you. Again, the next date, if you want to get in for the qualifier, is the 22nd. We're going to do 2 extra tourneys. Monday, December 22nd, and Wednesday, January 7th will be your last chance. And then the qualifiers from last night, as well as the other 2 tournaments that we're putting on, as well as I think 1 or 2 others, will be in there on Monday, January 12th. And the last man standing will be coming with myself and a hammer to make it happen in Costa Rica at the Costa Rica Poker Festival. Reem, I must say, I'm feeling very good about the game after last night, about a month away from heading down with another crack and a little bit of experience in a big event like the one that's happening down in Costa Rica.
Yeah, you went before, said that you picked up a lot of knowledge. It's like when the Jets, young players come in and like the goalies hang around Connor Hellebuyck. They get all that knowledge. You soaked in the poker knowledge. You came back pretty hot right away. And here you are, possibly peaking at the right time ahead of the Coolbet Costa Rica Poker Festival. So just big brain work by you right there.
Yeah, big brain. That's right. It was great. What awesome turnout. Bunch of new folks that were in last night. If you can't make it out or you weren't able to make it out yesterday, as I said, would love to see you out taking your crack for the finals. Monday, December 22nd and Wednesday, January 7th. Those 2 other dates. All right, well, listen, Patty and I hit this football game tonight. But Reem, let's dive into this hockey slate tonight over at Coolbet. It is a packed night as we get to the Coolbet lines. Let's start off with the Jets. Jets a -154 favorite against Boston, which always makes me nervous, the way that they've been playing as of late. The Bruins +130 on the money line. And you know what? I don't trust the Oilers very much, but if you were going to play a puck line on Edmonton, I think they'll be in an ornery mood after blowing that game against Buffalo on Tuesday on home ice. And the Red Wings were leaking oil in the third period yesterday, excuse the pun, against the Calgary Flames. Holding on for a 4-3 win and getting right back at it tonight. What do you think about the Oilers on a potentially a 2-goal win if we wanted to go on that +133?
Oilers seem to be not peaking, but playing much better lately. We saw them against the Jets on Saturday, and Detroit did play last night, so the Oilers certainly are in a nice spot here against the Red Wings at home.
Remo, we reconnected with Pat just before we break with him. If you can, let's get Patty popped in here for a minute. Pat, I was just saying that someone had asked about the tourney last night, and very nicely, because it was set up a little bit of a different way. We did have essentially a 4-way chop, and people got the tickets, but what would have normally been in our WST prize was essentially split. The value of that ticket bonused into the 4 top players' accounts, myself included, and I'm using some of that on our props for the football game tonight.
There you go. Yes, and of course, don't forget as well, bounties still on the heads of you 3 as well. So lots of prizes to be handed out on top of that.
Yes, 1 bounty was not paid out last night. That was the one on me. It was a beautiful thing.
Should we do a carryover? Double up your bounty since you survived.
You know what? If you would like to do that, I'm more than willing on doubling it down and having people trying to get me even more. That there is a skill I've learned to this. It's a little different when you know that the second you're exposed, people are going to be jumping on that $100 bonus. So it should be good. Again, we'll have all the details for as we get closer to not next Monday, but the following Monday, the 22nd, for the next qualifier tourney. Patty, before we go, how's the kickoff of LAC season? Of course, if people don't know, if you're turning around, you go, man, that guy looks familiar. Pat, of course, all over Canada, doing play-by-play on TSN for the NLL, the National Lacrosse League. We mentioned we got a new team, and now you're up in the nation's capital for more action this week.
Yes, big game Friday night on TSN, the NLL. That is our home every Friday night. Not every Friday night, but most Friday nights. That's where you'll be able to find us this weekend. Up in Ottawa, it's the Ottawa Black Bears taking on the Saskatchewan Rush. Obviously, the Saskatchewan Rush had a dynasty a few years ago, had a bit of a rebuild, but now they're on the upswing. Made it all the way to the final, made it actually all the way to game 3, elimination game against the eventual back-to-back champions, the Buffalo Bandits. So they certainly are a team to keep your eyes on. And then Ottawa, a team that's trying to find their way into the playoffs for the first time. They moved from New York, Long Island, up to Ottawa last year, had a pretty decent season, just missed out on the playoffs by a game. They've got one of the best players on the planet in Jeff Teat. So if you've got nothing to do on Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, TSN, you can catch myself and the entire TSN crew for what should be a great night of lacrosse.
Beautiful. Well, very cool to see it. And we're going to get an NLL guest on, one of the lone Manitobans to play in the league. I'm looking forward to working on that sometime.
Love that.
Maybe into the new year.
I can't believe I forgot this. This is essentially the Manitoba Bowl here this weekend, because Luke Magnan of the Ottawa Black Bears is going up against Jared Smith of the Saskatchewan Rush, the two NLLers from Manitoba going toe-to-toe. So even more rooting interest for you guys to tune in on Friday.
Love it. Well, we got the Jets game tonight, but yeah, tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Patty and the boys will be doing their thing on the NLL on TSN. Pat, thanks so much. Looking forward to these next couple qualifiers, the holidays. A lot of excitement about the Costa Rica trip, and we will look forward to chopping it up with you Friday morning. We hit that prop parlay last week. Let's double it up this week and keep the good mojo going. We'll talk to you Friday morning right here on WST.
3-0-1 last week. I'm heating up just in time. Let's go, boys.
We'll talk to you on Friday morning. Thanks so much, Pat.
See you, fellas. Thanks for having me. 10
a.m. WST winners. Myself, Pat, and Jake. The boys were excellent on the spread picks last week. We Indy, which I will own. I thought Indianapolis would go in. They ended up losing Daniel Jones and losing the game. That deep 6-star spread parlay, but we did hit a really nice prop one. The under on Jonathan Taylor rushing yards, over on James Cook receiving yards, and over on Patrick Mahomes rushing yards as well. Great stuff. Again, full slate of games tonight. I did put something together. I didn't put it in the combo cards, but I like the Islanders at home over the Ducks tonight, -120. Taking Tampa in Jersey against the Devils. And big bounce back game for the Habs. They got humiliated by Tampa on Tuesday night, 6-1. Tampa playing the second end of back-to-backs. They're in Pittsburgh tonight, +106, I believe, is the number on the Montreal Canadiens. So I got an Islanders Lightning Habs ticket at +562. And then just to reset what we're looking at for this football game tonight, the over on Emeka Mbuka catches and rush and receiving yards. The over on Bijan Robinson receiving yards. I like a Bucky Irving anytime touchdown at +125. And I think the play might be the under today as opposed to the spread. It's all up there at Coolbet. If you haven't played there before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. All right, Reem. Give me your thoughts on this game tonight for the Jets. There's part of me that wants to, and this is not anything that we've had the balls to do in a long time, is take an over on Jets goals. 3.5 is the team total. Over 3.5. Like the Jets to score 4, +134. Just seems like this has to happen sooner as opposed to later. You got Korpisalo in net. Might this be a relative offensive explosion for the home team?
You know, I'm looking at the numbers and just how much better Korpisalo is than Swayman. I think
Swayman than Korpisalo.
Sorry, yes, that's what I mean. How much better Swayman is than Korpisalo, and seems like they're primed here. Just how cold everyone's going to be. It's got to turn at some point. They're at home. I think you can put a lot into the practice day. You can put a lot into the rest, the days off, not traveling. They're rested. They're ready. They played well against Dallas. If they play that same game against Boston, it's a recipe to come out with a win. We'll see if they can do that. Consistency has been a problem. The minus 154 seems high as a favorite. I'm looking at Money Puck. They have 55.9% Jets to win, but can they hit the over total? It's tough. They know you're going to get from one line. They're going to need the other lines to chip in. Haven't quite got there. To sitting Gus Nyquist, spark him for a goal. First one of the year, and Cole Perfetti. Some interesting insight from him talking about battling injuries and just getting over the mental hurdle, trusting that you're going to be okay. What's the team total again? Was it 3.5?
3.5 team total at plus 134. Can the Jets score 4 goals tonight?
Maybe.
It would be nice.
I might get an empty netter. 3 and an empty netter.
I've got a little poker money in the thing. I might do that just to try to manifest it. But if we were going to put together a parlay for tonight, if we're going to take the Jets to win the game, Kyle Connor seemed to be all over it last game. I mean, he's plus 111 to score. Scheifele had the 2 goals last game. What if we take a Kyle Connor goal and then points, I think a Josh Morrissey point? Who outside of the top 6 do we think is going to get a point tonight?
Man,
I mean, that's the most difficult.
I think you just got to take the safe plays here because you're not getting a lot. You know, Perfetti might be a pick. He's on the power play now. Iafalo's on the top line. Those are the easy ones. But do you think it's going to be like Adam Lowry? The Mesnikov's gone a long time without a point. I only trust the top line on this team, Hassan. And I think you can throw in Perfetti and Iafalo, or throw in like Dylan DeMello, who's on the ice at the same time. I have put up the scorers. The team leading scores here. I never used this graphic today. But Dylan DeMello, he's like the 6th team leading scorer right here. Behind Nino Niederreiter.
Yeah, and Stan's right behind him.
And Stan's right behind him with four goals. It's been rough. It's been rough in terms of depth scoring here, Haswin. Dylan DeMello is your 6th leading scorer.
Yeah, and not a lot of guys up on the list. Well, maybe we roll with 2-point games for Connor and Scheifele.
Oh, there you go. I could get into that.
Plus 151 for Connor, plus 190 for Scheifele. You know what? Let's do that. And I'm going to add a Josh Morrissey point too.
Okay.
1 for Morrissey, 2 for Connor, 2 for Scheifele. Jets win.
Oh.
I know Jake's watching right now. We will get that cooked up and we'll get it in the exclusives. So more of the same. I would love to bet on Nino or Lowry or Gustav Nyquist or Perfetti, but I'll roll with you on this one. Let's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. These guys are cooking right now. Scheif is on a mission to make this Olympic team, and they certainly are on a mission to get a win tonight against the Boston Bruins. So we'll cook that up in the exclusives a little later on. And I know we're putting that parlay for the football game, which will be up there. Bijan over receiving yards, Egbuka over 3.5 receptions, and a Bucky Irving anytime touchdown. That probably will be in the combo cards. But if not, make sure to check out the WST exclusives. Fun show today. And hopefully we'll be in very good spirits tomorrow if the Jets can get back in the win column. And tomorrow we'll be talking Nino Niederreiter, 1,000th game coming up on Saturday. And, of course, the NHL's all-time goal-scoring leader, Alex Ovechkin. And the Washington Capitals ranked number 3 on the Chud Sports Power Poll on WST, coming to town tomorrow. And that'll certainly give us lots to talk about coming into the weekend.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Tonight would be nice to go into the weekend with a win and celebrating Nino. What are they going to do? Make him wear the 1,000 jersey? Will they be wearing funny T-shirts?
There'll be a good T-shirt for Nino, for sure.
How about the ceremony? Will we have those guys in the Swiss jerseys who were here last year? Will they be making an appearance?
I was thinking about that. Like, if they were going to come, I would say, like, maybe this week would be a great time to do it. You've got 3 games at home. Boston tonight, Nino's big night on Saturday, and then the game on Monday. So we'll see. If you see a bunch of funny Swiss guys partying their asses off wearing different Nino jerseys, you'll know that his boys are back. But again, that is for tomorrow. Tonight, it's all about the Jets and the Boston Bruins. Busy night in the National Hockey League. Thursday night football in the NFL. Tomorrow on the program, we'll have the latest on the Jets. Murat Atesh is going to join us. Really looking forward to that. So make sure to pop in with us live starting at 1 p.m. And don't forget, late tonight, in the morning, Connor Rabchak will have our WST post-game content ready for you for your drive to work or whenever is convenient for watch it on the YouTube channel or on the podcast. Thanks to Fluto Shinzawa. Thanks to, Remo, what were you going to say about the Bombers?
Well, I mentioned Connor. Him and Zach Schnitzer were joined by Derek Taylor for a nice conversation.
Oh, is that posted already?
Yeah, we posted that one today.
Oh,
so
awesome.
It's there now if you want to go listen to some Bomber post-game on the podcast feed and here on YouTube.
Yeah, I know the guys were looking forward to chopping it up with DT. So that is there right now. So if you want a little additional, and we talked some Bombers yesterday with John Hodge, but get it from the mouth of the play-by-play voice of the club, DT on OB. That is up right now. A little bit of a off-season Bomber talk for the WST Bomber crew, Connor Rabchak and Zach Schnitzer. That's up on the channel now. Post-game coverage after the game tonight. A big episode of WST tomorrow. More post-game after the Friday game. And then, of course, Sunday, Connor and Liz take over with another always fun edition of WST Sunday Live. Enjoy the game tonight. Fingers crossed we're talking about a win tomorrow on the program, folks. Enjoy it and join us tomorrow for a big Friday edition of WST. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to the guests today. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and thanks to you for being part of it. Catch you tomorrow at 1 o'clock right here on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.